Hello world, GreatGizaPyramid.com. The shafts that litter the Giza Plateau, the pits and wells and conduits that are completely under the plateau. Let's say they come off from the side of the plateau and come in, they might come to a room. And then from that room, you might have a shaft that comes off to the side and goes to another room. And then from there, that might go up to the surface, big well that comes down. From here, it might go over and go to another room. And then from there, sometimes it goes down. And then and usually they wind up terminating in a room. Sometimes the conduit actually bends. I mean, it's a whole maze of things. Now, when you're down there and you're climbing around, at some point you might stick your head up and then notice, hey, there's another hole over here. How come, on my little thing I left little candy wrappers. I don't see any candy wrappers in this one. And you're like, wow, this is a whole second set of conduits and little rooms. And you're like, what are all these things for? And I specifically did it this way in two colors intentionally. And let's go ahead and put a room up here, put one there, make that go up. Okay, so here you go. And what I am proposing to you is you need to look at these as conduits. Take a step back, even though you can crawl through these. Some of these are like 3 feet square. And when I say square, I mean as square as the conduits in the pyramid. And some of these things are dead on straight. When I say dead on straight, I mean as straight as some of the conduits in the pyramid. And some of them are some of them are physically large. There's a few of them that are 7 feet in diameter. So you can stand it, or I think it was 7 feet by 7 feet, whatever. They're huge. You can walk through them, standing up. You can walk through them, or drive a small little Volkswagen through there. So potentially they were pumping some volume at some point, or at least had a lot of it at some point. But most of these are more like habit trails, so like 2 feet or 3 feet squared. And they're not all square. Some are round, but the majority of them are square. And what I'm proposing is that one of them would have had a liquid solution that wound up shorting to the Giza Pyramid. The Giza Pyramid, as we know, is collecting negative electrons and pumping them into the system. And what I'm suggesting to you is that one of the other sets would connect to the pyramid next door to it, the one that has the smooth surface on the top. And actually, I should accent this one not being the one with the top. That's really what does have to work, is not having a top in the 35th step. And that would give you your power. The electricity is really the delta, the difference between one voltage and another. And if we can step the voltage up a little bit, like the Giza Pyramid does, and you take that, and opposed to just shorting that to ground, let's say you wanted to do a little light bulb, you shove a piece of metal in the ground and take your energized water and connect it to one side of a light bulb, let the energy run through it and short to ground, you're going to get a light, no big problem. Well, what if you go ahead and instead of just using ground, you use this green lead over here and you short it to there, you're going to get a even better result, because where this one is collecting the electrons, this one is giving it, so you're offering it a path. So that is what I feel all the pits and wells were. And they also did, if you pay attention, there's a website I recommend you check out, Earth Milk Ancient Energy .com. And I will put a link to that. I'm not going to try to spell it because I'm not a good speller, so I'll just put a link to it. I'll stick it down here or something. And in there, he documents how in some cases they will have room 1 and they will have room 2, and they will pull the water out, up, and back down. And I purposely put little hooks where it went down like that, because the people in Holland figured this out, back in the 1500s or whenever they figured it out. But if you do it like that, and then you put a spigot up there, the water would be under the water pressure, because of how hydraulics work, of the weight of the water in here. So even though you brought the water up, if you just stuck a hose in there and tried to do anything, water doesn't like to go up. But if water thinks it's traveling from here to here, these are both filled, the water in this pipe, because of how it has that little jug handle thingy there, little zigzag, this water will maintain its water pressure even when elevated. And if you pay attention to some of these rooms, they do the same thing. And what they do is they use that water pressure to elevate it up. And in some cases, they actually bring it above surface level to some of the buildings where you can see the water conduits running above ground level. And they were very smart, and we should, I've said this in a dozen of my videos, we should learn from them instead of trying to say they were knuckle-dragging morons. Thank you.